Ever feel like your work inbox is stuck in the Stone Age? Like, seriously, trying to use outdated tech alongside modern systems.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, getting those, shall we say, vintage Lotus Notes emails to play nicely with today's document management systems, specifically iManage Work 10.
The classic case of what was cutting edge then, not so much now.
Right. So for those who haven't had the pleasure of working with Lotus Notes, what's the deal? Why the compatibility issues?
So Lotus Notes, it uses its own special language for storing emails. It's called DXL.
DXL.
Yeah, and you could think of it kind of like, imagine trying to read hieroglyphics without a Rosetta Stone.
Ouch.
Right. Meanwhile, iManage, and most modern systems really, they rely on MSG format, which is kind of like the universal language of email these days.
Okay, so two systems, two totally different languages. What does that actually mean for, say, someone who needs to access an important email, but it's stuck in Lotus Notes?
Oh man, I've been there. Picture this, you're a lawyer, right? Tight deadline. You need a specific email from a client for this big case, but it's trapped. Totally unreadable within your iManage system.
It's like having a vital clue locked in a box with no key.
Exactly. It's a huge headache.
A productivity killer for sure.
Yeah.
So how we fix this? Enter iLotus2Outlook.
You got it. This is where iLotus2Outlook comes in. It's like this really skilled translator. It takes those hieroglyphic DXL emails from Lotus Notes and converts them into the MSG format, the one iManage actually understands.
So it's not just like a one-time translation. It's like building a permanent bridge.
Yeah, exactly. Like a permanent embassy between the two systems.
Oh, I like that. So once iLotus2Outlook does its thing, those emails, they're actually stored within iManage. No more going back and forth between systems.
You got it. And this is where it gets even better. That conversion, it only needs to happen once per email. Once it's translated for good. iLotus2Outlook remembers.
Oh, okay. So no more waiting for emails to convert every time you need them. That's a relief.
Exactly. Huge time saver.
Right. But what about those times when you do need to see the original DXL email, like maybe for archival purposes or something?
Yeah, good point. So iLotus2Outlook has you covered there too. It's not about erasing history. It's about making everything accessible. The tool actually keeps both versions.
Oh, both.
Yeah, so the original DXL and the converted MSG right there in iManage.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's like a bilingual archive right at your fingertips.
Exactly. You get the best of both worlds. The original for your records, and then the converted version for, seamless integration into your workflow.
This is already sounding like a game changer for anyone stuck in that Lotus Notes iManage juggling act. But there's more to iLotus2Outlook than just basic conversion, right?
Right.
I'm super intrigued by this idea of selective conversion.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
So selective conversion, it's all about control. You're in the driver's seat. Let's say you've got this massive Lotus Notes inbox, years of emails, but only some of those are actually relevant to your current work, right?
Right.
The ones you actually need in iManage. So with iLotus2Outlook, you don't have to convert everything. You can just pick and choose what you need.
Okay, so no more getting bogged down converting like a decade of emails.
Exactly. You can just do specific emails or folders, whatever you want.
That's amazing. But what about people who are like deeply embedded in Lotus Notes? Do they have to abandon it completely to use this?
That's a great question. And no, not at all. That's a really important point, actually. iLotus2Outlook isn't about forcing a complete system overhaul. It's about creating a bridge.
Yeah.
You can totally keep using Lotus Notes for your everyday stuff.
Okay.
And then, seamlessly integrate the essential emails with iManage as needed.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
So it sounds like iLotus2Outlook is like that perfect stepping stone for firms who, they want to explore iManage, but they're not ready to ditch their whole system.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it lets them transition at their own pace, which especially for firms that are really settled into their Lotus Notes setup, that can be a huge, huge relief.
Speaking of relief, let's talk about version control.
Okay.
We touched on this earlier, but I imagine it's got to be super important in the legal world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in the legal field, keeping a clear history of every communication, that's critical. And it's not just about, keeping a record. It needs to be auditable too.
Right, right.
So with iLotus2Outlook, you're not just converting emails, you're creating this dual language archive, right?
Right.
So let's say there's a legal dispute years down the line.
Okay.
And you need to prove that a specific email existed and you need it in the original format.
Makes sense.
With iLotus2Outlook, you've got that original DXL file
Right there.
right alongside the converted MSG version, all within iManage.
So it's like that extra layer of protection.
Exactly.
That phrase. You got to be. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit to another cool feature. It's called conversion optimization.
Right.
And honestly, when I first saw that term, I thought, ooh, sounds technical.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it actually makes a huge difference for, everyday users.
Yeah, it totally does. I mean, it sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is.
Okay, good.
Because really, it's all about making your life easier, right?
Right.
So imagine this. You're working on this huge email chain, like 20 replies back and forth. And they all started in that DXL format.
Oh, I can already see where this is going.
Yeah, so without iLotus2Outlook, every time you need to look back at that conversation in iManage, you're stuck waiting for each message to convert. It's like a productivity killer.
The worst.
And those little delays, they add up over days, weeks.
Right. A lot of wasted time.
So with conversion optimization, it's kind of like once it's converted for good.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It stores a copy of the MSG, so the next time you need that email, boom, it's right there.
Instant access?
Instant access, no waiting, no hassle.
It's like having a photographic memory, but for emails.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, you only have to remember that conversion once.
Right?
And then from there on out, it's instant.
I love it. And that's what I love about iLotus2Outlook in general. It's like, it's not just connecting two systems.
Right.
It's actually like making your workflow smoother, more intuitive.
Totally. It's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that kind of makes me think about the bigger picture here.
We're talking about iLotus2Outlook, and it's solving this very specific problem.
Right.
But this whole idea of systems not working together,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. So many industries deal with this. So for our listeners who might be like banging their heads against the wall, trying to get different systems to talk to each other, what's like the key takeaway here?
That's such a good question, and it's so relevant because it happens all the time. But I think the big takeaway is like, you don't have to accept that.
Yeah.
Just because two systems, they were developed separately or they're like from different eras of technology, that doesn't mean you're stuck with these clunky workarounds forever.
Right.
There are solutions out there. Tools like this exist.
There's always a way.
Exactly. iLotus2Outlook is like a perfect example of that. Specialized software that can bridge those gaps and make your digital life so much better.
It's like finding that, that one missing puzzle piece.
Yes.
That makes everything click into place.
Exactly. And I think just like in any field, right, when information flows easily, that's when we can do our best work. We can be more efficient.
Right.
More effective, more productive.
It's true. It's amazing how we end up like describing tech using these analogies, right? Like bridges and puzzle pieces. I guess it shows you that no matter how advanced we get, we still just want things to work together.
Yeah, we want that simplicity, that ease of use.
Exactly. Okay, so speaking of solutions, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on from the research.
Okay.
It's this idea of system reconciliation. And I know it sounds kind of philosophical, right?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's actually a really good way to describe what iLotus2Outlook does. Because, we've been talking about this frustration of incompatible systems.
Right.
It's like trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
The worst.
And that's where iLotus2Outlook comes in, right? It's like this mediator. It smooths things over. It lets Lotus Notes and iManage actually coexist.
So it's not about replacing one system completely. It's about like leveraging both.
Exactly. Because different tools have different strengths. And sometimes it's about finding a way to use those strengths together.
I like that. So we've covered a lot of ground here today.
Right.
We talked about, the technical side, like DXL versus MSG.
Right.
But also this bigger idea of, making your systems work better together.
Right.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on iLotus2Outlook, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this? Especially those who might be facing similar challenges, trying to get their own systems to play nicely together.
I think the biggest takeaway here is don't settle. Don't just accept that you have to live with a digital world that feels like clunky or frustrating.
Yeah.
There are solutions out there like we've been talking about.
Tools that can make your life easier.
Exactly. And it's not just about like saving a few minutes here and there.
Right.
It's about, your mental energy too.
Oh, for sure. No more wasting brain cells on like, why won't this open?
Exactly. Imagine a workplace where Information flows, things are easy to find. That's what we should be striving for.
A world where technology just works so we can focus on the important stuff.
Exactly. And the exciting thing is we are seeing more and more tools like iLotus2Outlook popping up. It shows that people are recognizing this need, this desire for smoother integration.
We don't have to settle for a digital world that feels broken.
We don't. We have the power to build those bridges and make things work better.
I love that. Build those bridges. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive. So to all our listeners out there, remember, you deserve a digital world that works. Keep asking those questions, keep exploring those solutions, and we will see you next time.